Hi guys, welcome to this yoga fit session called Pause and Hold. Now this is going to be a sequence of just a couple of little exercises or postures that you may recognize from yoga. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to elongate the time that we spend in that posture. So we're going to pause and we're going to hold, and we're going to be focusing on really engaging certain muscles within the body so that we can get the maximum amount of results from this posture and really get into the muscles as opposed to hanging out in our joints. So I hope you enjoy this one. You can customize it a little bit. If it's a little bit too much, you can take the timings down a little bit, take a little bit more breathing time, but I hope you enjoy this one. So let's get started. So firstly, we are going to get ourselves warmed up, and what I'm actually going to do is, with the postures that we're using today as our kind of toning exercises, I'm actually going to take you through the sequence as a form of warming you up. So we're going to go through the postures and we're not going to hold them for too long. We're just going to float through them a couple of times and then we'll move into holding them and pausing, and that's really going to be where we work on getting the muscles working for us. So you're going to recognize all of these, I'm certain. So take your feet about hip width distance apart at the top of your mat. Nice soft knees. Take a breath in, float the arms up. As you breathe out, fold forward, send the hips back, hinge at the hips, come into your forward fold. From here, bring the hands down. You can bring them even onto blocks, and you're going to step the left leg back. You're going to pivot on that back foot, bringing it out to the side. Now, from here, bring your hand onto your weight onto your right hand. Open up the left. We're going to windmill open the arms. Feel free to step that back leg back a little bit more. You're coming into your warrior two pose. From your warrior two pose, you're going to windmill the arms back. And then from here, pivot on the back foot, bringing it back in line with the top of the mat and the other foot. From here, step the right leg back. You're going to come into your plank pose. And from your plank, you're going to send the hips high. Send the heels down, come into your downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, you're going to come forwards into your plank. And then come back into your downward facing dog. So this time you're going to step the left foot forwards up towards the hands. You're going to pivot on the right foot. Weight's going to come into the left fingers as you windmill open the right arm, lifting up, coming into warrior two here. Windmill the arms back down. Pivot on the back foot. You're going to step that foot in, come into your forward fold. And then reach the arms up, breathe in, come all the way back up. Lower the hands through the center as you exhale. So fairly simple so far, and hopefully gives you an indication of what postures we're going to be pausing and holding. So take a breath in, reach the arms up. Breathe out, fold forwards. From here, you're going to step that left leg back. Pivot, open up that back foot. Bring the weight into the right hand. Open up the left, lift up, come into your warrior two, looking over that front hand. Windmill the hands back down to frame the front foot. Pivot on the back foot. And then you're going to step your foot back to join the left. Come into your downward facing dog. Come into your plank pose. Downward facing dog. Plank pose again. Come back into your downward facing dog. This time you're going to step the left foot forwards up to the hands. Bring your weight into the left hand, pivot on the back foot. Open up the right arm, lift up through the left, reach the fingertips out, warrior two. Windmill the hands back down, frame that front foot, pivot on the back foot. From here, step that foot in, come into your forward fold. Take a breath in, reach the arms up, come all the way back up into standing. Lower the hands down on an exhale. So take a little breather. Hopefully you're going to find that your body is feeling a little bit warmer, a little bit more pliable. And feel free, if you are not feeling quite warm enough yet, you could do a couple more of those through. If you wanted to, you could pause the video and do a couple more of those flows through. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to pause and hold the postures. So I'm actually going to use a little timer. on my watch that's going to time us as we practice. So each of them we're going to be holding for 30 seconds. And what we want to see is that we can really hold them and maintain them in a strong way. So we're going to hold the posture, we're going to work on what muscles we're engaging and where we want to be with that posture, how high, how low, where we want everything to be so that we can get maximum benefits from it. So we're going to flow our way down and then find the first posture. So take a breath in, reach the arms up. Breathe out, fold forwards, come into your forward fold. We're going to step the left leg back, pivot on the back foot, bring the weight into the right hand, and then that left hand circling round, bringing you all the way up to your warrior two pose. So here, firstly the positioning, you're pressing the feet down into the ground. You're squeezing through the legs and through the glutes, really, really important. Give your body some sensory feedback by just pinching and prodding those areas. Check that they're engaged. If they're not, press more into the ground and that's going to switch on those muscles. You also want to be centered in the middle here. You don't want to be leaning forwards or back. So really work on centering the hips and that they're nice and open and wide to the long edge of your mat. And that might just mean adjusting your feet slightly. From here, standing up nice and tall, keeping the belly drawn in towards the spine, the arms are active over the legs and you're pausing and looking over that front right hand. I'm going to put the 30-second timer on. I really want you to be focusing now on pressing the feet down and actively reaching those fingertips away, pausing and holding. Wobbles and shakes are most welcome. Keep breathing as well. Really, really important. Feel really strong through the legs, through the core, through the belly, through the arms, through the shoulders. This should feel like a powerful pose, especially with the name Warrior 2. You've got just a little longer, and then you're going to stop there. Lower the hands down, and from here, just take a little pause, straighten the legs. I'm going to stop my timer, and then just prep it ready to go for our next one. So we're holding it for 30 seconds to get maximum engagement of the muscles. We want to make sure that they're pausing and holding and actually tensing and tightening. So we're really using those muscles. So from here, we're going to come back down. So come back into your warrior two for a moment as we windmill the arms. Bring the hands down, pivot on the back foot. And just a reminder, you can always have blocks or cushions underneath the hands, even in this practice here. From here, we're going to step this leg back. So we're going to step our right leg back to join the left. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pause and hold in our downward facing dog. And what I want you to do as you pause and hold, I'm just going to come down for a moment to set the timer, is I want you to be focusing on all the elements that I'm going to talk you through, but also I want you to be still. Because quite often I encourage you to have a bit of movement, and that's quite often a distraction. Instead, I want you to pause and hold and engage the muscles. So I'm going to set the timer now. You're going to find your downward facing dog. So feet are hip width distance apart, heels are coming down towards the mat, fingers are spread, your ears are by the upper arms, the belly's drawn in, the ribs are down. What you also want to have is nice active legs. So really press into the ground with not just the hands, but also the feet. So really, really active, and like there's equal pressure through arms and through legs. You've not got long, keep breathing, and then you can pause. Come down onto the knees for a moment. Take a few deep breaths. Make sure you're breathing into the belly, giving yourself lots of oxygen and nourishment. So come onto all fours again. We're going to come back into that downward facing dog. So lift the knees, press through the hands and the feet, lift the hips. And then from here, we're going to come forward into our plank pose. So our plank pose, you may need to step the feet out a little bit. The hips are low. They're not lifted. They're not too low. They're in the middle. But they should be feeling nice and active. Come onto the knees for a moment. Let me just talk you through a couple of things as well. So when you're in your plank, you want to be drawing the belly in towards the spine. That's going to protect not only your back, but it's also going to make sure that you're working on your tummy muscles, which kind of is a lot of what we want to do in plank pose. Obviously, we've got this long posture, and by having a strong sort of central panel, a strong sort of trunk area in the middle is going to help to make sure that you're not only working on muscles, but also that you are protecting your body as well. Not just that, you couldn't have floppy arms and floppy legs. The arms are really active, you're pressing the ground away, and the same goes for the feet. So you've got the toes tucked under, and again, you're pressing the ground away. And what that's going to do is it's going to help to activate the muscles through the legs and into your glutes. So that's what you want to be doing, pressing the ground away, and that's going to lighten the load a little bit. It's going to make it feel a little bit easier on the center of your body too. So let's come back into that plank pose. Fingers are nice and spread, roughly below the shoulders. And then you're going to pause and hold there. I'm going to set the timer. And let's go. So keep breathing, even though you've got that belly drawn in, you're actively pressing the ground away through the hands, through the feet. The belly's drawn in and you're still breathing. Really, really important to breathe fully, even though you're focusing on all those other things as well. I know there's a lot to think about. So just keep that breathing. And then you can come down onto the knees, have a breather. Well done, guys. So good. As you can see, all of these postures are working on lots of different muscles. And by just pausing in them, we're going to get so many more benefits from them. So we've done our warrior two, we've done our downward facing dog, and we've done our plank as well. What we now need to do is we need to come back to our warrior on the other side. So we're actually going to come back through our two floor-based poses, so our downward facing dog and our plank again, to then come back to our warrior two, but on the other side. So I'm going to twist myself around so I can be facing the camera for this, but stay where you are. We're going to come onto all fours. And then from here, tuck the toes under, press through the hands, press through the toes, lift the knees, send the hips up, come into your downward facing dog. From your downward facing dog, we're going to pause here. We're going to come into that downward facing dog and pause. So feet are hip width distance apart. Fingers are spread, pressing actively the ground away from you through the feet and through the hands. Nice equal pressure. Belly's drawn in towards the spine, ribs are down. You're going to pause there with the ears by the upper arms, and I'm going to press the timer now. Because of my chattiness, we're probably actually holding them from like 45 seconds as opposed to 30, but hey, every second helps. So keep breathing, keep feeling really nice and active through those muscles. Feel the muscles through the legs working, through the arms, through the belly. Keep fueling yourself with oxygen, nice big breaths. And then you're going to come down onto the knees. Take a few big breaths here. Well done, guys. So we've got a plank, and then we've got our warrior. And then what I'm going to encourage you to do is that you could do this through a couple of times. So we're going to just do it through once in this way, but you could repeat it. You could do it a couple of times over. You could hold for longer. You could pause for a little bit longer, maybe hold for a minute. And that's kind of the progression you want to get. You want to be working towards pausing and holding for a little longer. But make sure you're doing it well. So make sure you're really checking in that the muscles are working. So give yourself some sensory feedback by just prodding and poking those areas, checking that those muscles are switched on and working for you. So come back onto all fours. We're going to come back towards our plank pose. So tuck the toes under, lift the hips, come into your downward facing dog. Pause there for a moment and then send the weight forwards. You're going to come into your plank. Feel free to adjust the feet so that the shoulders and the wrists are in alignment. So pressing the ground away with the hands, pressing the ground away with the feet. You're drawing the belly into the spine and you're breathing. I'm going to press the timer so not to hold you in there for too much longer than 30 seconds. Keep breathing. Keep that really nice strong pose. Hips aren't too high, they're not too low. You should feel really, really strong here. It should feel quite intense through the full body, even kind of down into the fingers if you're gripping onto the ground here. Everything feels like it's working, even the neck, because the neck, you're looking forward, you're keeping that alignment through the body. And then you can pause and come down onto the knees. Have a breather. So these what look like very simple exercises are working a huge amount throughout your body. And that's why I wanted to choose these ones, because they deceptively look simple. They look easy. But actually, if you're doing them well and safely and in the way that's going to give you results, then they are going to be much more intense than they look. So we're going to come back onto all fours. And we're going to come back into our downward facing dog. So tuck the toes under, press through the hands, press through the feet, lift the knees, lift the hips, come into your downward facing dog. From here, we're going to step our left foot forward. So look up towards the hands, step the left foot forwards up to the hands. Pivot on that back right foot, bring it out to the side. Bring the weight into the left hand, sweep the right hand up. Open up the arms, and then let's find that warrior pose. So feet are pressing down into the ground. You've got a nice little bend through this front leg. Legs, almost imagine that you're trying to split the surface underneath you apart. So if you've got a yoga mat, feel like you're pressing it out and trying to rip it apart at the center. That's how much pressure I want you to have through the feet. You're central in the body, in the waist. The hips are nice and open, but the waist is central through the body. The arms are extended and really reaching out to the sides, nice and active all the way through the arms. You should feel it from the top to the bottom of the arms. And you're looking over that front left arm. I'm going to start the timer. Keep breathing. And the other thing is, you don't want to be sticking the bottom out. You want to keep the bottom and the back and everything almost like you're kind of sandwiched between something, nice and straight in the upper body as well. Keep breathing. Hopefully you can feel those bottom muscles working hard. Nice big breaths. And then lower the hands, straighten the legs. Pause for a moment. Well done, guys. So hopefully you can feel the difference in those postures to maybe how they feel when you just practice normally. So from here, let's work our way back down. So lift the arms, take a bend in that front leg, Windmill the arms back down, frame the front foot, pivot on the back foot. Step that foot forwards, you're coming back into your forward fold. Pause there for a moment, just allow the body to hang, the softness through the knees. Just take a couple of breaths here. Crown of the head coming down towards the ground. Hands can be on blocks or cushions or legs. One more breath in and back out. And then on the next breath, you're going to reach the arms out to the side, unfold from the hips, come all the way back up. Exhale the hands down to the center. And you are all done. So a big well done. That sequence is not the most easy. Holding those postures can be quite challenging, and really getting them to be done in the correct alignment and with maximum benefit to your muscle tone. They make it so much more intense and use a huge amount of your body. But I promise you, the more you practice that, the better your yoga practice is going to be. But also your fitness, your general fitness level, your tone through your body will improve. So I really encourage doing this yoga fit session a few times a week, maybe just working on those postures, and try and think of that as you're practicing in yoga, what you're doing with those postures to make sure you're getting those maximum benefits. So massive well done. Feel free to customize this a little bit more. I encourage you to move from 30 seconds up to maybe 45, up to a minute, maybe even longer if you can hold those poses for that amount of time. And that's going to help, again, just work on your body, but make sure that you're not jeopardizing by doing more time and you're jeopardizing the actual posture and the stance. Make sure that you slowly work your way up to that and don't rush. So I really hope you've enjoyed this Yoga Fit session. It's been a fun one for me to create, and I hope to see you on the next video. Take care and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye guys.